Peace, family. Welcome again to another episode of Muhammad Mosque number 46 TV. Today we have our special guest with us, our Brother Vincent X, and we're going to be talking about the attacks on the Nation of Islam's prison ministry. If you've been on YouTube or even on social media, you may have seen the articles being shared by members of the Nation of Islam, and we've been refuting them. Salute to Brother Muhammad, a member of the Nation of Islam's research department, who has written a rebuttal to these attacks. And I'm going to share something from his article that he actually did. But for those who may not know, Representative Peter King and Southern Poverty Law Center, and Peter King always has something negative to say about the Nation of Islam, but he, like the Southern Poverty Law Center, has refused to accept the challenge that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has laid down, so we can confront them about their lies about the Nation of Islam. But nonetheless, they took issue with some members of the Nation of Islam receiving money for the services that they provide to members of the Nation of Islam who are in federal prisons, federal correction facilities, right? Now, they didn't bring up the millions of dollars that other religious groups get, such as the Catholic Church, who gets a lot of money, and other branches of Christianity. And the truth be told, you know, you talk to many of our brothers who have received some type of financial compensation for their work. Oftentimes it's because that's the money that they had to be recouped for, the money they spent on car rentals, gas, and any other expense that they incurred traveling to these federal facilities. But personally, you know, the attacks by the Southern Poverty Law Center and Representative King, you know, to me is insulting. And how could they have the audacity to even open their mouths and say something about the work that the Nation of Islam has been doing in the prisons when they don't have a track record of going into prisons and reforming lives? Representative King, the Southern Poverty Law Center, none of them. So to me, you don't have the right to even open your mouth about the work that we have been doing in transforming the lives of people who y'all don't care anything about. The same brothers and sisters that's locked up in these prisons are the same brothers and sisters that you and your wife, she clenches her purse or gets tight in the elevator, or you hit the lock button on your car when you see them. So y'all don't have anything to say about what we're doing. But for our viewers of this, in this particular Final Call newspaper, it's the edition here. When you see it, they didn't even have the edition on this one. Oh, here it is, volume 38, number 14, January the 8th, 2019. And in this paper, there's this article by our Brother Muhammad, the NOI Prison Reform Ministry under attack, facts rebuke false propaganda. And I just wanted to read some of the facts about the Nation of Islam's prison ministry before we interview our brother, so he can give a testimony. So it says, fact number one, Brother Dimitri mentioned, the Nation of Islam's prison ministry has been recognized by prison officials for its positive impact on the prison environment. That's a fact. Second fact, the Nation of Islam prison ministry has been recognized by scholars for its beneficial role with the correctional settings. And another fact, the third fact, the Nation of Islam's prison ministry and the inmates it developed the pioneering litigation that expanded and secured the constitutional rights for all incarcerated persons. So the fight of the brothers to be treated justly as Muslims in prison helped to get other inmates' constitutional rights acknowledged and adhered to. One more fact. The Nation of Islam's prison ministry has as its primary emphasis self-improvement and uses its primary text, self-improvement, the basis of community development, written by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's the text that we use when we go into prisons. The other fact, the use of contract services providers is a standard practice within the correctional industry to help ensure that inmates of all faiths are allowed to practice their faith while incarcerated. So why deny us the rights that you deny someone else, or that you don't deny someone else? Lastly, during the infamous Attica prison uprising, It was the Nation of Islam inmates who helped protect the innocent hostages from being harmed. These are just a few facts, but we can do a bunch more, but we'll stop there. Now you heard the facts. Now we're going to get to the testimony. So this is our brother, hardworking brother here in our city, Muhammad Mosque, number 46, Brother Vincent. Thank you for being on our show. So, Brother Vincent, can you tell the viewing audience, how long were you incarcerated for? How long did you serve?
20 years.
And that was where?
In Alabama.
In Alabama. So, being that 20-year sentence, right, how did the Nation of Islam's prison ministry personally benefit you?
Well, it helped me to come into the knowledge of myself, God, and the devil. You know, it gave me a focal point on myself as it relates to how to handle myself, how to respect myself, and how to respect others.
So, what type of inmate were you prior to the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad?
Hostile.
And hostile meaning what?
Because of my lack of knowledge, and which in turn caused me to be very, very insecure. I was, we used to fight all the time. And primarily because I did not understand how not to fight. I didn't have the ability to be able to reason and rationalize through situations. So by receiving the divine teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through an example. Now, that's important too. The brother that introduced me to the Messengers program was a very, very wonderful example. So, as it's taught in the church, we are taught that Jesus is Lord, and you should, follow Jesus and do as Jesus does. And I'm referring to a man that's not here. So, I had the privilege to have an example in my immediate environment. So, and I was able to confer with this brother, and this brother taught me various aspects about brotherhood and how to deal with people irregardless of who they were, black, brown, red, yellow, or white. So it was that example, of this brother who was very, very important in my life. So that's how I learned how to be the man that I'm growing into today.
You said something interesting. So the enemies who are attacking our prison ministry, they're saying that the Nation of Islam should not be allowed in because our teachings incite violence, and particularly incite violence of blacks against whites. Is that true?
That's very not true. In fact, I used to be I'm a former youth organization member. And I'm still in the same youth organization, but just more mature. Prior to becoming a student follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I participated in that activity. But however, once I became a student follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I've had a standing in the Alabama prison institution. So therefore, I would come to various institutions where there was a discourse between the Bloods, the Crips, the Disciples. And from my training, I was able to resolve issues, conflicts that was going on between our brothers, and brought our brothers together in a more organized manner, from which, in truth, the root of all of our youth organizations were to produce unity and brotherhood. So by the divine teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from 1993 up until the time that I was released, which was in 2000, July the 25th, I must say that it is through the divine teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad again, is that is what allowed me to maintain my freedom being in the street. Not to say that it wasn't difficult for me, because, you got to consider being incarcerated for 20 years and being in a segregated society of that nature. it causes you to live inside your mind. So, but once, being released, I met a brother, the brother's son of the brother who introduced me to Islam is the brother Soul of Jamil, is the brother who was able to help me in my walk in my re-entry back into the world. So in that, being out here, and, after doing 20 years, that helped me, the teachings and getting plugged into the mosque for sure. And being around like minds is the thing that really helped me to maintain my sanity.
Praise be to Allah. So for those who are watching, make sure you hit the subscription button. So subscribe to this page. Make sure while you're watching this, you share it. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. We're on Facebook. All of those things. And this last part, what are your thoughts about this whole attack of the enemy on the NOI Prison Ministry?
I have to say that it's primarily that the enemy understands that the divine teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and our example in our midst today, Brother Farrakhan, you have to understand that these people do not want us to be resurrected. They do not want us to be made whole, because America at its root has been an institution based on free labor, and that does not exclude people that are of other ethnicities, So we talk, the messenger teach us about the black, brown, red, yellow, or white people. Now you have to understand that the reason these people are being barriers to this teaching is because they know that this teaching rehabilitates. This teaching disallows you to be a minion, or you have to understand that the enemy do not have no intention whatsoever of us being reformed. Because to reform us is to, I guess the best description that I could give you is like, what leech do you know that if it attached itself to an endless supply of blood, what leech would you know would want to, get rid of that? That would just get that up willingly. When in essence, the nature of the thing is based on sucking that life essence. So this is what we're dealing with in relationship to our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated. This is an endless source of income, that has been refined from us picking cotton and sharecropping. It's just another form of that right there, So that's why they're doing that.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But Allah, the devil plans and Allah is the best of planning, and we, as it says, we're fighting for Islam, and we will surely win. But out of the many great things that the Nation of Islam offers, the prison ministry is one of them. And there's an effort where they, despite the laws that have been passed, despite the court rulings, they are defying those rulings, even here in the state of Louisiana, where brothers will take out subscriptions for people to get copies of the Final Call, send them books, right? And they are doing what they need. They're doing things to stop that from happening. But you reap what you sow, America. The Nation of Islam and the prison ministry has done a lot to reform those brothers who you all are not spending that money to effectively reform. So by you getting in the way, you are going to reap what you sow. So we thank you all. We thank our brother for being here for this interview. And once again, I said, make sure you subscribe to our Mosque 46 YouTube channel, and make sure you spread this so that people can know the truth about these false attacks against the Nation of Islam's prison ministry. Thank you.